The Thankful Generations Project is my unique way of thanking those who have served or are serving in the military. Well, Grandpa, what do you think? Should we take you off the loom? If I haven't introduced you, this is my grandfather, Chester Aloysius Kenney. He served as an aerial photographer, and in his professional career after the war, he worked as a civil engineer. Proud that he served in the military, proud that my father also followed in his footsteps, making a career in the Air Force. So thank you, Grandpa, and in a few minutes I'm going to be taking you off the loom. I'm at the point of construction that I like to refer to as the Weaver's Dilemma. I have finished the tapestry, and in order to finish the work, I need to take it off the loom. And then there's probably another 20 to 30 hours of work to finish off the warp threads. First, a little bit about my loom before I take Grandpa off. These looms come fully assembled, and the tension is managed with the use of the wing nuts that you see here on both sides. There's also a warping coil that allows me to manage the spacing of the warp threads. Super easy loom to use, and I'm not sure I would be able to create these tapestries without such a well-engineered product. I've already loosened the tension on the thread, and I've already snipped the two pieces of thread on the ends here that were tightly wound so that when I remove the dowel, things come off easily. And I say easily, we'll see how easily this comes off. You have to kind of do it in phases, sliding the warp threads over slowly, little by little. And I'm just carefully pulling the dowel. Of course, once this comes off the loom, I've got to deal with all these warp threads. Come on, Grandpa. Almost there. There we go. Not quite as elegant as I would like. But there we have the finished tapestry. All the warp threads, the tabs at the top and the bottom. And now for many, many hours of finishing off these tabs. How do we make the world a better place? Find a way, and my own unique way is through beaded tapestry. That's a lot to look at, isn't it? I decided that I wanted to do something that mattered. I wanted to do something that was bigger than myself, and something that the world had never seen before. And this is what I came up with. I had a deep interest in learning more about World War II, and I was just starting to learn how to do bead tapestries. So I combined those two interests, and 32 tapestries later, it's pretty amazing when I think about the body of work. One of the reasons that I'm excited about being here at the DOS is this is a free community museum, and there are lots of community activities. And when this tapestry exhibit went live, it was during their festival. 2,000 plus people came through the museum. And so I'm tickled that not only was I invited to show, but there was a lot of foot traffic. And so as an artist, I got a chance to see people coming through, making comments. I sent a couple of ladies over to the gallery to look, and they came back and said, I couldn't find the beaded tapestries, but I saw the World War II photographs. Come with me, I'll show you.
Hollis R. McKinney, Jr., Gordon M. Reeves.
Protection. In a land far away in a time long ago, Vietnam was deluged by a rain that just wouldn't stop. Lands and homes were flooded until a graceful goddess descended from the sky. Upon her head was an enormous hat made of large leaves stitched together by bamboo sticks. This large hat was able to guard the people against the rain. The goddess dispelled the clouds and rain, allowing the people to return back to a normal life. The conical hat, or non la, has evolved over the years and has identified and protected generations of Vietnamese. Unfortunately, it did not protect against invaders. Confronting history. Conventional wisdom says that if we do learn from history, we won't repeat the failings of the past. However, history of war seems to bear out the opposite. It also appears to be true that those who do learn history are doomed to repeat it. It seems as though each layer of history, the years, the wars, don't completely cover the preceding time. The years may fog the memories, the years may distort the memories. The fencing in this image may be trying to keep memories and events blocked entirely. What side are you on? Battle fatigues. My first home ec class was in the 7th grade. This class was required for all girls. I can still see the layout of the room and my spot at my assigned sewing machine. The teacher handed me the Simplicity pattern for a box pleat full skirt. Nothing about the pattern made sense. There were lines and numbers and instructions on the tissue-thin paper. I did manage to pin and cut out the pattern on a stiff, heavy cotton, the color of denim. However, I got a poor grade because although the pleats were perfect, my hem was not. Not too long after that, my dad was killed in Vietnam. Nothing about that made sense either. Helo Girl. This image is a photo montage of a scrapbook photo of my childhood and helicopter blades from a photograph taken during the Vietnam War. The photo of the little girl with the hula hoop was taken right after my father returned from his first tour in Vietnam in 1957. The helicopter image is circa 1967, during my dad's second tour there, in which he was killed in action in a helicopter crash. We circle and spin through life innocent of unintended consequences that will shape us all. I feel that if we don't learn from our history, war and otherwise, we are doomed to forever repeat it. The Road to the South. My dad, as one of the less than 1,000 U.S. military advisors, was deployed to Vietnam in 1957. During this time, American advisors were not put in high-ranking positions. They weren't even supposed to be there. President Diem feared the U.S. would gain control over his forces if he put them in tactical positions. The early part of 1957 found South Vietnam enjoying its first peace in over a decade. It must have been during that time that my dad was able to send back postcards, a Vietnamese doll, and a traditional conical hat. This image integrates the inside of the hat, with its now faded embroidery, into an early military map of Vietnam. Seeing the consequences. I see the consequences, not just the obvious ones, such as death, destruction, and nation building. I see social change. I see generational health damage. I see decimation of lifestyle choices. I see thriving and coming out the other side. Could this be the unintended consequences of the unintended consequences? Windows to war. When my husband and I looked out of windows in Vietnam in 2014, we saw, depending on what city we were in, very different images than what my dad saw in 1957 and 1967. I suspect the 1967 windows wore flaps in green army tents, maybe some plastic covering to protect from the elements. When we looked out our various windows, we saw a peaceful country, lush and green, in the countryside full of motorbikes in the city. At Keenan Beach, we saw fishermen paddling their basket boats, waves washing up on the shore and rugged rock formations. When soldiers looked at the beach during the war, they saw helicopters landing, unloading personnel, and watched their comrades slogging through the sand. Unless, of course, they were surfing at China Beach, a popular 3-day R&R destination during the conflict.
Herbert W. Moore, Jr., Jimmy G. Mayfield, my siblings and my dad, Gail F. Wilson, James Thompson, Ray A. Schuld, Alfred F. Alvarado.